these are some of the things that we're also going to get out to parents, right? Because I know when it first started, it was, well, why is this still happening, or what is the process? Well, the zero tolerance policy of just kicking a kid out of school, it just doesn't. It's not best practice, essentially, right? If a kid said he's going to hurt somebody and then you just tell him you're going to expel them, where's this student at, right? Who's supervising this kid? Likely no one, right? So we want to put in a safety plan to make sure we're monitoring and checking in on the student, making sure they're getting the services needed. So next on there, we have just the DHS reporting form. So we've had this traditionally in the past. One of the driving factors for this is, DHS gets kind of overwhelmed with some calls, and so one thing that I know other districts have done is they kept record, which is what we're doing, and I know I get those sent to me from our buildings, and I'll keep record of those. And it sounds like Bell has done this, and it's been effective, is when we get enough and there's not a response, we can go in to the judge and say, hey, we've reported 5, 6 different events and still nothing being done. Can you help us, and what other resources, or can you help navigate to provide supports to these families? So, so just keeping track of those. Number 4 on there says Safe Oregon. So in the past, it was quite confusing on what Safe Oregon was. We know we had to post that link on our website, and so it was. And then we used our own local incident report form. So if any kid witnessed any threats or bullying or a fight, they had a place to report that. Now we're going back completely to Safe Oregon, and I've gone in and I've updated those that contact information. So each building will have their own reporting system. So if that QR code, the students, parents, anybody can scan with their phone, it'll give a drop-down box in this elementary, in this middle school, in this high school. They select it, they fill it out, and it gets sent to that building administration. I believe high school's doing that lesson this week. So yeah, this Wednesday. So there's a lesson basically, defining what is bullying, what is a threat, what does that look like and sound like, and then here's the steps to report that. Okay, so students are also getting educated. I know I've talked to Andrew in middle school, trying to figure out. I haven't really had that conversation in elementary, but kind of brainstorming what does that look like.
Rachel's already taught those.
Yeah, for those little kids, right? Because QR codes and things like that. So really informing parents is that step there. So standard response protocol. That's our, well, as it says, our standard response protocol to any sort of, let me see here, so any situation we may have, from a lockdown, from somebody being on campus that's immediate threat, to, right, maybe we have a student leaving for medical reasons and we have an ambulance and we call a halt to keep kids in the classroom. So just keeping things very standard and communicating that to our students. They did I believe the first week of school, students have went over this, and staff also, as part of their back to school safe school stuff they're doing, that's part of that, and making them aware. What's that?
There's a monthly drill.
Yep, and there's a monthly schedule that each building participates in one of, they're always going to do a fire drill, and then they just rotate through these, right? Earthquake, what do you do? Right? So those sort of situations. So I have drug prevention and mental health services. This is kind of, balls with safety, because anytime we really get these threat assessments, we typically referring students for mental health, right? The SUD services, or the drug prevention, we do have a partnership with Lifeways, who provides counseling for our students who are referred for substance abuse or use, or just even education. So they'll do the assessment, they'll determine what level. I've asked the substance abuse counselor that anytime there is a referral, that there's a minimum of educational service to that student. So that's typically 6 weeks. So maybe they don't have an addiction, they don't have a problem, but they are, dabbling in this stuff, and they need to be aware of the harm that could be caused to them. So the mental health services, this is kind of, this is newish, where Lifeways now comes to our campus and provides counseling services to the students. And this could be based on referral from the counselor or the building administrators. We have situations, right, where kids have they're already going to Lifeways and they're having issues getting to appointments. So we transfer them over to a school-based service. And so now they're able to see the counselor here, and they're coming 1.5 days a week essentially. So and then I have the substance abuse. The drug prevention was actually the course you were talking about. One of the things I'm doing right now is we actually have a meeting on Monday that was just coordinated last week with Lifeways to work on the prevention. We're going to start at the elementary in terms of aligning those with the health standards that are given to us by the state of Oregon. So what grade levels should be, what they should be learning in regards to prevention. So I talked to Mr. Pratt of how he wanted me to handle that. He's like, work with Miss Rob and move forward with that. So that's where we're at with the prevention. I know in a meeting today I had with them, they're creating new curriculum. However, they're still going to move forward with what they have. And I asked that curriculum that they're building aligns with the health standards. So that way we're not trying to, like, where is this happening at, and having to justify that. We'll try to part of the Division 22 standards as well. So, and then lastly on there is the SEL, right, which is new in the middle school, high school for this year in terms of curriculum. They added a T in front of that, so there's transformative social emotional learning. So we're basically in phase 1, which is bringing awareness to social emotional learning, right? Eventually, it's going to be part of those teachers' everyday classrooms, whether it's math, science. I'm talking about how whatever trait that elementary does a focus for the month, right? And I think they're a little bit ahead on that because they started that process last year, where it's kind of part of that classroom environment already. So they're even doing character ed within their classrooms there. So I know that was a lot, and they told me to be short. So no. I set myself up for that one. Oh, you're good.
Anybody have any questions?
That's good.
Hey, Bobby, quick question.
Yeah.
On this child abuse report form,
Mm-hmm.
what do the teachers do with it?
So they'll submit it. So typically, the way it works, most teachers will either go to the counselor or their administrator and make that report with them. So I believe the building, you guys keep a copy and then send me a copy. Basically, your administrators keep their copy.
Is this after you made a phone call to Children's Services?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure, is
Yeah.
that they're not just turning this in and thinking that's going to satisfy the statute. They know to make the phone call first.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the nice thing about this form, which we just changed from last year, it has a case number on it. So we could always go back and reference, right, making sure we're writing that case number. He's been in a situation, well, I called, well, who'd you talk to? I don't remember. But I was on hold for 40 minutes before I got to talk to anybody.
The last 2 or 3 times I've called that number, it goes straight to voicemail.
Yes.
They give it to you at the end of the phone call.
And they don't call me back.
Yep.
It's kind of messed up.
Yeah. So that's kind of the case number thing is, I'm excited that it's on there because, it seems simple, but it's going to be helpful down the road to be able to go back and check these reports and say, hey, what happened? Let's follow up on them and go from there. So.
It's not always called a case number. Sometimes it's called a file number. Only if it gets referred, it doesn't turn into a case number, but they'll give you a report number that goes on that one.
Okay. Cool.
There's a lot, and all this stuff I didn't have here, but it's all online. So when you go to the menu, we try to put everything under the counseling portion of the links. So the safe Oregon is going to be there. The suicide prevention policy is going to be there. So everything's really going to start going under that.
So
Counseling
we're
and
not going to teach
prevention.
the curriculum that we taught last year, the ESD or the Lifeways is going to come teach the drug prevention stuff?
Yeah, that's the intent right now. Yep. Just because we want to make sure we're providing that service right. They have the curriculum, they're aware, they're knowledgeable of the curriculum. We will really want to get it in place, and then if we have to, I think there's the curriculum that you had shared, making sure we have time to go over that and review it, and then see if there's an individual who's want to implement that full time, so, or able to, I guess. Yeah.
And I want to highlight that, as Bobby said, these things are all online as a resource for our parents, but also Bobby, our counselors, our administrators have all of this information. If parents do have a question, and we say, please reach out to us and we can help you guys through this. There's a lot, like today we had the elementary had a lockdown, right? What does that look like? And so even if your kid comes home and said, we had a lockdown today, you could actually look at what the standard response protocol and what does that mean? And so just for parents to be armed with as much information as possible. And so we just appreciate it. So.
Yeah. I mean, the last step here, and I'd say it's something within the next week or two, is there's the annual notifications that go to parents, and so that's going to be part of that, right? But not overwhelming parents with all the annual notifications that come with it, because you also want them to be educated on the standard response protocol. There's the opiate letter that has to go out as well. So there's a bunch of information, but at the same time not overwhelming, so it's not being ignored and just like, oh, another text. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Witt?
Ms. Watts?
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Maria Ariola. I'm this year's HOSA's president, and here we have Mr. Witt and Ms. Watts, which are our advisors. And we're here to request for an overnight trip. It's scheduled, it's a HOSA officer leadership retreat, but we're also inviting 5 other members to join. We want seniors mostly since they're older and they can show more leadership skills. Our plan is to leave September 19th after school, which is a Thursday, and stay Thursday night, Friday night, and come back Saturday morning, and so we can come here, arrive in the afternoon. And we are aware of the fires and air quality, so if it's bad, we will postpone it or cancel it. We have another plan to meet up with another HOSA chapter from the area, and we can combine leadership retreats. We can exchange information on what's working well for them in their chapter and what's working well with us, and we can get advice from them on how to become a better chapter. So our request is just for an overnight trip. Oh, and the original plan is to go to Loman, Idaho, but if we have to change it, we'll let you guys know.
That's my question.
Any other questions?
Where?
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion to approve this?
I'll move to approve your trip.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? So it's been moved and approved. Have a good time.
Thank you.
If we need to adjust plans, can we go through Mr. Cleaver to do so? And we're approved if we need to go with another school to do something?
As far as I know.
Is that
Yes.
appropriate?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we'll have the student body president at the high school, Patty Corn, come and give us an update on what's going on at the high school.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Some of you might know me, but for those of you who don't, my name is Katie Korn. I am a senior over at the high school, and at the end of last year, I was elected as student body president. So either myself or one of my other ASB team members will be at every meeting throughout the school year. We'll bring any updates of exciting things that are going on in the high school, as well as concerns that are brought to us during our meetings. I normally try to keep them short and sweet, but today we kind of have some introductions to get out of the way, so I apologize. Like I said, my name's Katie Korn. I am a senior at Nissa High School. I have been going to Nissa all 13 years, which is crazy that I'm going to be graduating this year, but I'm also an English major at TVCC, and I'm hoping to graduate high school with my associate's degree. After that, go on to a 4-year university where I actually want to become a teacher myself. So I'm pretty passionate about my own education and about and about the education of my fellow students. And I have some super awesome peers that I get to work with this year on my ASB team. So I'm president. Vice president is another senior. Her name is Valeria Torres. Valeria and I became unlikely friends in freshman year PE, and she has a lot of really great qualities. And the one thing that I think she has going for her the strongest is she runs in different social circles than I do. So she hears things that I don't hear. She's able to pick up on student dynamics that I'm not able to. And I just love the perspective that she brings to our meetings. Now, our secretary is Juliana Bounds, and the reason why I wanted Juliana as my secretary is because she absolutely killed it as FFA secretary a couple years ago. She's super organized. She is just on top of everything that we ask her to do. And she's also serving as FFA chapter president this year. So she's busy, but she's really doing an awesome job, so that's been great. Kind of the same story with Tyler Young. He was FFA treasurer, I think 2 years ago, the same year that Juliana was secretary. So I asked him if he'd run for treasurer, and so far, also, he's doing an amazing job. I have not had to touch our account at all, which is great. I am not a math person, and he's a really good numbers guy, so that's awesome. And senior class president, Jenny Piscasio, she is just overall super amazing. I love getting to work with Jenny. She's really creative. She's kind. She thinks of everything. It's awesome. She's so great. She's handling super well all the senior fundraising and things like that we have to do to get our senior trip off the ground, which is super great. She is awesome. I cannot say enough good things about Jenny. And our other two class presidents, because we don't quite have our freshman class president elected yet, our sophomore class president is Brody Mills, and our junior class president is Max Hansen. Both of them are new to student council, which I think is great. I thought it was super awesome how many kids we have this year that are new to student council. They're bringing these really great fresh perspectives, lots of new ideas when we're talking about homecoming and we're talking about other things that we want to see at Nissa High School. They're bringing these really awesome perspectives. We have a great group of kids this year. Not to brag, but I think we have a really awesome student council this year. There were two things that were brought up in our most recent meeting, just some things that I think had also been brought up in a separate meeting that I wasn't able to attend. I had to delegate to vice president and senior class president to go to. And there are just some little concerns about our facilities. But before I start with that, I just want to say thank you to you guys for everything that you do for our district. Nissa High School is truly a really great place to go to school. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect district. There's no such thing as a perfect school. But in my experience, Nissa has been amazing. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for the hard work that you guys put in and just making Nissa a really great place. So those two concerns, I don't remember, they might have been brought up in site council, but I wasn't able to go to that meeting. The first is our science classrooms. I know Ms. Watts is going to appreciate this. We have amazing science teachers at the high school, but science teachers can become even better when they have up-to-date facilities, and obviously we have really great science classrooms already, but just we'd appreciate some consideration and just kind of over the course of the year and looking into maybe some upgrades for the science classrooms. I'm not a science person, but for those who are science people, that equipment would really mean a lot. And then our second thing that was also brought up in that meeting, it has to do kind of with safety, like Mr. DeLeon was talking about, and that's the locks on the doors, just making them a little bit more accessible so that in the event of an emergency, anyone can get up and lock that door. Because in the past couple of years, I've noticed that school safety has been a rising concern, and rightly so. I've talked with some of my other fellow students, and we do those lockdown drills, we do all of those things, but we find that we're all still just a little bit scared of something happening at our school, because that's just kind of the future that we live in, and we don't need to be scared of things like that, especially at our school where we have such amazing staff, we have such amazing just everything in general. But the door locks, I think, would make just a huge difference. Mr. Cleaver, what's the name for those fancy door locks?
Just like one with gross motor function, right?
Gross
So anybody
motor
can push
function.
it, right? Doesn't require a key, push in, right, to lock.
And the concern, or not the concern, the biggest pull for those is anyone can lock it, even if there's a disability at play. So making it so that everyone can stay safe in the event of emergency. Of course, we hope that never happens, but it's always better to be prepared than to not be prepared. So now before I close, is there anything that I need to know as being a student government rep from the board? What are some things that I need to keep in mind for helping make Nissa High School the best that it can possibly be?
I just have one thing. How do we get out how great Nissa High School is? And that's going to be something that you guys can help us with. And I'd like some ideas.
Okay.
Seriously.
One thing that is in the works that we're kind of just barely getting the ball rolling on is we want NISA Student Council to have like some social media channels that we can kind of put things out there. And Pep Club is doing the same thing. Pep Club is also awesome, by the way. I've been loving having Pep Club at the high school. It kind of takes that school spirit pressure off of Student Council, and it's a lot more effective. But we're looking for both of those clubs to kind of have, we're looking at an Instagram page because that's what students use the most. And we would be able to post about, like, here's what we're doing for a home game. This is the student section theme. Please show up and cheer really loud. Or just even, like, being able to have that channel for people to say, here, this is some things that we think we need to work on. And that's one thing that we're just getting the ball rolling on. But I would love to hear if you guys also have any ideas that I can work with at the high school level. I'm happy to do anything because I love NISA, you guys love NISA, so let's make this awesome.
Katie,
Go ahead. I was just gonna say thank you.
oh, is there something, and obviously you don't have to answer right now, but keep your ear to the ground, is there some sort of facility we can add or something we can do that will give the students an outlet, somewhere to go in their free time, in the evenings, on the weekends? Obviously, we hope they're in school during the days, but just something that we can add that would be an improvement to the community and would give the kids a good, healthy resource.
I like that idea. We'll bring that up. We meet every Thursday afternoon, so I will bring that up in our meeting. Every meeting we have 7 minutes time blocked out in our advisory class period where we talk about student concerns and what we can be doing. So I will bring that up kind of for that so we can all have a discussion on that. I think that's awesome. Thank you for bringing that up.
All right, thank you very much. Megan, were there any public comments? Okay, so because there are no public comments, we'll move on to the superintendent report.
Perfect. And that's very impressive by our ASB president, Mrs. Horn. In the future, if we could change me not to go after her, I'd appreciate that. Just as a thought for future. But thank you. And you can kind of see that positive momentum that's happening at the high school. And I mean, if you could just bottle that, I think we'd be in a pretty darn good place here in this. So, superintendent report, I'm going to say good evening, everyone. Believe it or not, after this week, we have been in school for a whole month. Isn't that crazy to think about? It's gone by really quick, and there's some amazing things coming out of our classrooms to just highlight what a promising year this is going to be for us. As usual, I would like to call up Mr. Murray, the director of our federal programs, to give our 1C update. So, Mr. Murray, thank you.
Mr. Roberts, good evening, everybody. I'd like to start off by talking about our monitoring visit from ODE, which was completed in April. As a result of that visit, they provided us a list of 9 required and 13 recommended actions that they wanted us to implement. And as of last week, we have implemented all of them, and ODE has signed off on all of them. So we no longer have any findings hanging over our heads. So that's really gratifying for the whole program. A lot of hard work by the team to get to that point. Number 2, as you know, in the past 6 years, between 2017 and 2023, there was a considerable amount of over-identification of students in the program. And as a result of ODE's re-interview process that occurred in 2022, they identified X number of students who should not have been identified for the program, but we received more allocation of funds because of the over-identification of students than we should have. And so we have a process in place with ODE to return those funds. A good portion of them will be returned from funds that were not expended in previous years that we have left over. And so we'll be returning that to them, and the rest of the funding, we're in the process of working out basically a payback plan for those funds. The third item, the Crow forensic audit that began way back in January, is completed now, and we have the report from them, and a meeting set up with ODE and the Crow group on Friday to discuss the results of that report and any potential next steps based on the report. Number 4, the playground, the new playground implementation that you voted on back in the spring is finally underway. They've removed the old playground structure, leveled the ground for the new structure. And it looks like it'll be going in the next week or two, hopefully. And then the last item, just to remind people, we have a migrant PAC meeting next Tuesday at 6 o'clock here in the boardroom.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Murray. I appreciate your update. Any questions for Mr. Murray? Perfect. So I'd like to just review some data with everybody. And I'm pleased to say that our current attendance is at 95% on average as a district. That is actually the elementary, middle, and high school are all at a 95%, which is up from last year at this time. And so some enrollment numbers at our brick and mortar schools. We're also seeing some encouraging numbers at this time. So right now the elementary, and at this time, was at 414. Right now we're at 502. Middle school went from 271 to 287. High school is slightly down from 345 to 342. And while those numbers are down from where we're at in May, right, we are seeing a lot of students. We got 7 coming this week already, and so we will see that trend continue. But we are up from where we were last year at this time in September. And as we know that our virtual school enrollment is also seeing some significant increases. From, again, in September, it was 244. Right now, we're at 1,007 students, with 500 students on the waiting list for us. So, I also want to highlight some things, and Bobby did it, is safety has been on the forefront of our conversations as Ad Council. And one thing I'd like to highlight is you'll see this, and the board has them as well. Any adult staff member here in NISA, if you are around the district, will see this. Kids know that that is a trusted, safe adult here at NISA. And so if they're in our buildings or around, they know that that's what this means. And so it is a requirement of our staff to wear these. And visitors will have a badge. And but we have this on here because we want kids to know that's a safe adult, rather than who's that guy, what's going on, or just accept that any adult anywhere is okay. And so I want to highlight that for parents. Is that you'll see this, and this signifies our staff. I mean, it sounds very simple, and it's like, well, why haven't we been doing it before? But it is something we're instilling to ensure that our kids feel safe here with the adults. So, and as many of you know, we are part of a cohort that is undergoing the cyclical monitoring this year, and the monitoring conducted by the Office of Enhancing Student Opportunities, or OESO, ensures the accountability for local educational agencies under the Individuals with Disabilities Act, as well as the other programs in child nutrition. Cyclical monitoring ensures that each LEA complies with federal and state requirements, focusing on selected priority areas at least once every 3 years, and it is our turn for our LEA. This process can be completed through either self-assessment verified by OESO or on-site monitoring. We will have on-site monitoring for our federal programs and IDEA, child nutrition, McKinney-Vento, and foster students. So that will be occurring this year, which is a lot of lift. And basically they come in and say, we want to see all of your inventory. What did you spend on 1A? You know, all of those things. And so that we'll be going through that this year. And so look for in the spring a report to see how we did on our cyclical monitoring. Again, this happens every 3 years with cohorts. And so we're just going to go through the process. So lastly, I wanted to provide a quick update on the Equity and Wellness Committees. We are scheduled to hold our first meetings with both committees by the end of this month. And Gina White and Gina Friel, we're working with them both, are calling those people and getting that all scheduled. But the first meeting will be at the end of this month, and I will be reporting to the board on their agendas just so you can kind of see where we're at with it. I really want to say keep up the great work as always, and you can't go wrong with say, hey, go Bulldogs, right? So that's my report. Last thing, I'm sorry, I forgot, this is a note I had. October 15th is the Jorlene Reese Course dedication. We look forward to everybody in the committee coming and helping us dedicate the court to a woman that built a place and has been here for 62 years. And so that is October 15th. We invite the public. Hopefully our coach will be here by then. But anyway, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Okay, Krista, do you have some financials?
Sure. So tonight I have financials up through August 31st. On Friday when I emailed you the report, I did not include the food service report. I didn't have it done yet, so that's for guys. No surprises this month with our financials. Received our state school fund. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing surprising. Ended with a nice ending fund balance for the month. We're just carrying that cumulative balance through the year so that we can cover our payroll and expenditures in June next year. Also, as always, I've included our LGIP account statement for the month and the breakdown of the taxes we received and the interest on that account. Provided an update on the middle school bond fund, how much is in that account. Our next debt service payment is in December, so we're just building that account up to make that payment. I've probably provided the smallest payroll report I've ever given the board, just because it was August and our teachers and IAs weren't back yet. So that payroll report is just for the month of August. And then approval of the bills. This is everything that the district has spent from August 3rd to September 3rd is when I ran that report. And then the report I just handed you for food service. As of the end of August, we have a deficit of a little over $11,000. We did only serve 8 days of meals. We only went to school 8 days in August, so September numbers shall be better since we're in school more, and hopefully we can decrease that deficit.
I do want to remind the board that we do anticipate probably going more in the red with food service, especially with the new contract and the percentage increase. Doesn't obviously keep up with what with the increase the federal government has given us per meal, and so that is something we anticipate. And our commitment is to not make the food quality suffer in that, and so know that that's probably going to be red. So we're going to be seeing that and having to adjust.
But that's okay because we've budgeted for that and went over that in our budget meeting. And it's in our adopted budget. So are there questions on the reports I sent you guys and have presented? An update, the auditors will be back to finish the fiscal year 24 audit. The second week they come 2 weeks out of the year, and they split it up. They already came in July, so they'll finish their second week with us the September 29th, I think. That's a Monday. That last week of September, first week of October. And then hopefully we'll get that report and have it presented. I'm hoping in November, but definitely by December at that board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay, next we have the consent agenda. We'll take a minute and look it over, and someone want to make a motion to accept the consent agenda? Any questions? Or? Somebody want to make a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor? Motion has carried. We go on to the old business. We have budget committee vacancies. There are 3 positions open. We have had 3 people apply. You should have gotten those from Megan on an email. I had a chance to look at them. We can either accept those 3 or
We would have to extend the deadline out again.
extend the deadline.
Is that correct, Meg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either interview, appoint, or extend.
2 of the 3 have already been on the budget committee before, so I think there would be no problems with them. And the other one seems fine to me. So somebody want to make a motion to accept the 3 that we have and appoint them?
I move to appoint the 3 we've received.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, so we'll go ahead and appoint the 3 that have applied. Okay, we have new business. Jesse, I guess you're gonna talk about a middle school sidewalk?
Sure.
Mr. Golden Torch person?
He was so happy to take that picture and get that torch today. He's a guy that likes to hide behind the scenes and just be amazing. And he doesn't like being in front, but he deserves that recognition. So he still doesn't like this. That's why I did it.
So we're here to talk about the sidewalk, middle school sidewalk, just kind of carrying over our safety when it comes to our kids. This is a project we actually started January of 2023. We got the ball rolling, getting our land surveyed. I don't know if you guys have noticed, passed by the sidewalk and saw part of the phases. I would probably say that's probably phase 3 of the project. So now what we bid out was the curb and gutter. And you guys have the 2 bids in front of you on the pamphlet. We put it up, we only received 2 bids. Holcomb Construction and Bizade's Excavation. And it would be my recommendation to offer the job to Holcomb Construction.
Big price difference.
It is a big price difference.
And now where's the side, the curbs and gutter again?
Well, if you kind of look at there's a picture.
Kind of black and white.
Oh, mine's colored.
Yeah.
You know, I can see it.
I figured it out.
So going across the tennis court, that's asphalt. And then from there, the sidewalk will tie in and extend all the way down to the middle school sidewalk. And what we're gonna do is just put a curb and gutter there, get the kids off the ground. I don't know if you guys have ever picked up your students. It is, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done there to keep everybody safe, not just our students, but if you picked up your kids after school, trying to get the flow of traffic to work, buses going through, staff members trying to stop vehicles, vehicles pulling away as their kids are still trying to get into the cars. So we still got a long ways to go, but this is a step in the right direction.
And there's money in the budget for this?
How much in this picture, it looks like part of the sidewalk is gonna go through the native garden. Is it gonna impact
Yes.
it much?
It will. There will be some damages, but yeah, it is going to tie into the native garden. We will use that as a drain. We're not going to eliminate it completely, but there will be some of it that is going to
Can
be
you
damaged.
estimate?
Even part of the sidewalk or the tennis courts will be excavated. And the idea is just to get those kids off.
Is there someone keeping up the native garden?
Yes.
You? No, but I know Mr. Dickey.
Mr. Dickey used to. I think Mr.
Yeah,
Fournier.
Mr. Fournier does.
And I think it's where that fire hydrant is right there. Is kind of, that's that boundary. If you guys remember the fire hydrant in that native garden, so that's going to be an estimate about how much will be taken out there.
Yeah, that hydrant will actually need to be moved as well.
So the fire department moves that or the city?
No,
You guys?
the contractor.
Oh, okay.
You said part of the tennis courts will be excavated, so do we lose?
No, you're not going to
Court?
lose any of the court. It's just going to be the edge of the fence line. You'll probably,
Okay,
it's
so
probably
just
about
like
2
it
feet.
shows on.
Yeah.
Crystal, you said there is money in the budget. Is there as much money as the bids show? Okay. Good.
And this ties into Ms. Cord's safety. And I have received 3 quotes for door handles, door knobs at the high school. So when
Are those to lock it like from the inside?
they don't lock from the inside. You have to actually lock them with the key on the outside.
Because that's what we did, and then we just put a magnet.
Correct. And the high school can't do that because it's wooden frame.
Oh, okay.
So there's no magnets
But
up there.
sometimes like a little round magnet up in the top of the plate, up in the corner. That's fine.
Well, sounds like it's all lined out. Somebody want to make a motion to accept the sidewalk project?
Being one of the folks, so.
And with the Holcomb construction as recommended by Jesse?
I'll make a motion to accept the quote from Holcomb Construction for the sidewalk project at the middle school.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's been moved and seconded and the motion has passed.
Thank you. So will they get started on that right away?
I know they're till November, November
Can we
6th.
pour the cement and stuff on its floor?
Yeah, more work for them, but yes, they can do it.
Okay. All right, next, the student education contract.
Perfect. And I talked to most of you about this, the student education contract, which is the strategic planning. We met in July about it, and we've had several meetings, and so Studer came back and reduced their price by $31,000, so almost in half. Part of it is their want to partner with us, and they see our vision. And so you'll see that in there in phase one is that, so it's only, it is, like I said, reduced by 31,000. And then there's a phase two that we would talk about in January if we're liking what we're seeing from them. But a big part of that is, their job is to help us create a strategic plan that ensures all of our groups are being listened to, involved in the process. That's the board, that's the community, that's students, all of those. And so when we do put our strategic plan, our 5-year and our 10-year, we can say this came from the community, and this is what we did to elicit that information. It's not just an electronic survey thinking everybody's going to fill that out. We're actually going to go out and talk to people and get information. So as the board, when we put that plan together, we can say, you know, this is from the community, this is from all of those things. And so, so I'm actually bringing this up to approve tonight for at least phase one on it. And like I said, in January, we would review that work to see if we'd like to move on to phase two. There is money in our budget for it. And so this is actually coming out of the SIA monies.
And how much was it?
Should be $49,000. So it's going to come out of the SIAs and our LGIP. This is something we have to do anyway, and so they actually help us with our engaging our communities to check out that compliance box as well. And so we expect a high quality product out of there that is derived from our community.
And that 49,000 is just for phase one?
Yep.
And then if we do phase two, we have to do the 3-year, 2 years?
No, and there's a couple clauses in that contract you'll see is that they do serve at the pleasure of the board, and at any time we say we're done, we want to continue this part or that part. And so there are actually 2 different areas in there that allow us at any time to stop the work. We could even in a month now say, hey, we don't want to, and we get anything that is not spent on that we get back. And so there are 2 opt-out clauses in there for the district, and so just for you guys to know.
Any other
Any
questions
questions?
for Mr. Hawkins? This is an action item, so we'll need to make a motion and vote on it.
Have you had Michael Horton look over the contract?
I have not yet.
Okay. I guess that would be my one thing.
Yep.
I'm fine with approving it, but only if he says, yeah, it's okay.
And I'm good with conditional approval with his okay on it and giving you that as well. But yes, and so I'd like to get them working on it, but again, a conditional on my court reviewing the contract, because it is pretty wordy in there. And so, but yeah, I'm definitely glad to put that contingency in that if it gets approved tonight.
So would someone like to make a motion contingent on Mr. Horton's approval that we would approve this?
I would move that we approve the student education contract contingent on approval from, or revision by Mike Horton.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Okay, the only other thing on our agenda is the work session meeting on October 7th at 6 o'clock. Anybody have anything else to add?
We would like to invite you to the elementary school Wednesday morning, September 11th, at 9 o'clock. We're gonna do a Patriots Day, a short Patriot Day assembly to honor our first responders here in town.
Are you gonna invite the first responders?
They have already been invited.
They're having a breakfast at 8. Freddie and
So
It's
it's
free
gonna be
electric.
outside by the flagpole? or-
Yeah, outside by the flagpole.
At what time did you say? I'm sorry.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
And then also our fall carnival will be September 27th.
Okay.
My favorite.
All right, Mr.
May I make a quick comment on the sidewalk project?
Yes, could you stand and talk loud so we can hear you?
Oh.
You're way in the back, sorry.
Yeah, this is a sidewalk thingy. It's a great example of what happens when you nickel and dime a project to death. The original design for the Nissa Middle School had beautiful design. The buses would come in this side, the traffic would come in this side, all safe, beautiful. And then, because I was on the building committee, and then the school bought it, cut $100 here, cut $1,000 there, and we're ending up 6 years later, we've still got a mess. And I suspect it's costing way more than it would have done if we'd done it right in the first place.
Thank you for your input. Anything else? Okay, meeting is adjourned.